Okay, Mishnah Vav. Ein mekablim tzon barzel miYisrael v'neishu ribis. You cannot accept iron sheep from a Jew because it's interest. So the iron sheep, what are we talking about? Talking about a certain type of business situation, transaction, agreement. It's called barzel. It's called iron because basically from one end it's an investment as strong as iron because you can't lose. The basic it's a situation where the guy who's financing it puts his money in, he gives it to somebody, and let's say he gives him. The reason why it's called barzo tzon, why it's called sheep, is because often this was done with a herd. So I mean, you'd give your herd over to the shepherd, and when it's all done, you get your herd back, and you get half of the profits from whatever from the wool that was shorn, the milk, whatever the meat, whatever it is that was the profits were. You get half of them, and you get your whole herd back. And it's ironclad deal, meaning the shepherd is responsible. He's on the hook to return the entire amount. So you have no chance of losing whatsoever. So you can't do that Meneshehu ribis because it ends up being interest, because basically you're giving, because the guy gets this loan, he's giving him back, everything that he gives him. It's sort of anything that he does on his behalf, the work that he does, is basically he's giving it to him sort of as his interest on the loan because he's forwarding this money. Now, this is obvious to us based on what we've learned in the previous Mishnayos. We said even if the deal was you get half and half, it's still ribis, and it's still interest, and you have to give the guy a little bit of a wage. So there's a little bit of a debate. It could be that this is just saying this here. It's an obvious thing, but it's saying it because of what's about to come. We're going to talk about the fact that it's not interest, even in such a situation, in regards to a non-Jew. But it also could be, according to one opinion, that it really is coming to tell us the following. It's coming to tell us that even if you were to pay the guy a little wage, it's still considered to be interest in this case, where it's not half and half, where it's such, the wage, fine, but still the fact that he's doing all this stuff on behalf of him still ends up being interest. At any rate, of a makablan tzon barzel min ha'oved gilulim, but you can't accept such a agreement, the iron sheep agreement, from a non-Jew. V'loven mehenu malvano sam beribis, and also you can borrow and lend to them at interest. V'chein beger toshav, and even if you have a ger toshav. Ger toshav is a resident who has accepted upon himself he's not going to worship idols. So you have a resident individual who, is sort of, he's keeping the Shav Mitzvahs B'nai Noach sort of thing. So you can lend him at interest too, but not a full ger. I mean, not someone who converts to Judaism, then they're a Jew, then you can't lend them at interest either. Malva Yisrael ma'osav sha'ovid gilulim midas ha'ovid gilulim. Okay. A Jew can lend the money that was lent to him from a non-Jew at interest with the permission, with the knowledge of the non-Jew. Meaning you can transfer it to a Jew. So basically the non-Jew lends you the money and says, pay me back at interest, and you want to transfer that loan to somebody else who's Jewish, so you really, it's an interest between you and the Jew. It turns out being you're transferring him an interest-bearing loan. But if the non-Jew says, okay, yeah, transfer my loan to him, then that's considered to be okay. Avolo midas Yisrael, but not with the knowledge of the Israelite. This means if you flip it, meaning here you have a Jew who lends a non-Jew money at interest, and now the non-Jew wants to transfer it to another Jew. So if the non-Jew is doing that on his own and he makes his own deal and the Jew accepts it, that's fine. However, if he does it with the knowledge of the original Jewish person who lent the money, then that's not kosher. Really, you can see why you would do that. Just it would be a way to get around lending an interest. You find yourself a non-Jew to be the interest. Oh, I'm lending you the money and interest or whatever. And then he passes it on to the Jewish guy. Oh, we koshered it, right? It's like selling the chametz, right? We fixed it. So it's saying you're not allowed to do such a ruse. You're not allowed to fix it in such a way. If the Jew knows about it, if the non-Jew's doing it on his own, whatever, he wants to get rid of this loan, and so then that's fine. But in terms of then it's a deal between the non-Jew and the Jew. If it's done with the tacit sort of understanding of the original Jewish lender, then that's not okay.